Well, thank you, and I want to speak too to the national program. Here in Nova Scotia in the NDP, it is a great priority for us to work with the federal government to have pharmacare established for all the people of our province. So I want to ask you, Jagmeet, about the priority it is for the federal NDP to work with the provinces and to work with the people here in Nova Scotia.
Absolutely. Well, Garry, it should come as no surprise. New Democrats are passionate about healthcare. And Gina, your story is a story of a lot of young people who sometimes don't think about medication as something that they need, but for reproductive health and for many other things, it is a reality for a lot of people that they can't afford their medication. So just the same way when we fought hard at the federal level to bring in national Medicare, healthcare coverage for everyone, one of the missing links of that is medication coverage. It's one of the things that should have happened from the very beginning. We are committed to it. We actually put forward legislation in Parliament to say we can make this happen. Now, in that case, the Liberals and the Conservatives voted against it. After having talked about its importance, they voted against it. But we know this is something we can achieve. The only ones that are opposed to it are big pharmaceuticals, and New Democrats, Garry, as you know, we are ready to always fight for people and stand up to big pharmaceuticals and the big corporations, because we believe we've got to lift up people. And so we are committed to this. We know it's achievable. Every other country in the world that has universal health care actually includes medication coverage. So we can do this, we can get this right, and we're committed to it.
Well, thank you both, and I want to reiterate our platform commitment that an NDP government in Nova Scotia will provide universal coverage for HIV PrEP medication, for the shingles vaccine, will improve the insulin pump program and access to that program, and will provide free birth control to everyone who doesn't have private coverage. And I want to register this truth. That if the people of Nova Scotia give the New Democratic Party the privilege of forming a government after August 17th, and if this fall the federal NDP under Jagmeet Singh is able to form the government of Canada, we will be in Nova Scotia and in Canada in a place where we will be really able to bring this great essential program of a national pharmacare program. We will be able to bring it home so that we won't ever more be in the situation where people have to choose between their medications and all the other expenses of their lives. So we're very happy then to receive any questions.
That sounds amazing, Garry. Yeah. I look forward to that day.
Yeah, great.
Mr. Singh, hi, I'm Mike Spavor with CBC.
Yes.
Hi, can I get your thoughts on what we're seeing coming out of China most recently with the 11-year sentence for Mr. Spavor?
These are really heartbreaking developments. Hearing about the death penalty for another Canadian, and now Mr. Spavor being sentenced to such a lengthy period of time. What we are focused on as New Democrats is making sure Canadians are brought back home, that we save the life of a Canadian that was sentenced, and we need to make sure that this is a priority. So we need to use all the tools that we have at the national level, working with allies, using diplomatic tools to bring our Canadians home and to save the life of the Canadian that was sentenced to the death penalty.
One other question for you, if you don't mind, sir, from my colleague. The military has yet to transfer a single sexual misconduct investigation to civilian police, despite a landmark report 2 months ago urging the military to do so. The Liberals said they accepted the report's recommendations in principle. One complainant said the military has officially declined her request to ask RC to investigate an alleged rape allegation against a senior leader. What is your reaction to that?
It is shameful that in 2015, Justice Deschamps released a report that outlined in the military there is a culture that puts women at risk. And we have learned that a complaint was made, a serious allegation was raised. It made it to the highest office of this land. It made it to the defense minister and to the prime minister's office, and nothing was done. It sends a chilling message to women across Canada that they are simply not heard. It is completely inexcusable that that's what's going on, particularly given in 2015, Justice Deschamps, who did a report, said we needed an independent process for women to come forward with serious allegations of this nature. They need to have an independent process. For 6 years, Justin Trudeau's done nothing about that, has ignored that recommendation, now says he wants to do another report, another investigation with an incredible justice. But what's the point of doing that when you've not acted on the first and the recent recommendation of at least having the independence of a civilian police force? It's clear that neither Justin Trudeau or Aaron O'Toole have any interest in protecting women and making sure they have the ability to come forward with an independent process. And it is harmful to not just women in the Canadian Forces, but to women across Canada. It sends a message that women are not being listened to, and that is wrong.
Mr. Burrill, can I ask you how an NDP government in this province would approach the trade relationship with China in light of what we're seeing there with the way that Canadians are being persecuted?
Yeah, well, we've seen from the provincial Liberal government their repeated position that the persecution of Canadians is of no relevance for them, that all they're interested in is dealing with trade, economic and business issues, and that everything else is off the table. I think this has always been a small and a short-sighted vision, and it seems to me that the provincial government, whenever it is present in trade negotiations with China, needs to have top of mind the difficulty of Canadian citizens in that country.
Given how small we are, though, compared to them, and how economically linked we are now, particularly when it comes to seafood, can we afford to push back against them?
I've always said about this, I simply think that we cannot, as the Nova Scotia government, ever represent ourselves in China without an awareness that we are on troubled ground from the point of view of human rights concerns. And this is not something which, as the Liberals have been doing for a number of years here, that ought to be set over to one side and said that is simply an issue for the federal government. We only have to deal with trade and business as it affects Nova Scotia. I think that's an artificial division and not one that the people of the province would support.
Did you think of that story that came out last night about the gentleman from Dartmouth who broke his hip and waited hours for an ambulance that didn't come?
Well, we have been saying for some time that when we have these extraordinarily long ambulance wait times, what it is speaking about is a systemic crisis in healthcare as a whole. That ambulance wait times are long because emergency rooms are closed, because emergency rooms are plugged, and they're plugged because there's no place to put patients in the hospitals because they're full of nursing homes, because the Liberal Party only opened 57 beds in 8 whole years. So it's a sign of an across-the-board systemic crisis in our healthcare system as a whole, and it is right that people should be chagrined and shocked to hear about it.
Finally for me, sir, the narrative research poll that came out today, I wonder your thoughts on the numbers and whether they reflect what you and your team are seeing as you do your own poll.
Look, they absolutely reflect the conversations that I've been having and that have been being reported to me through our candidates, in which we have heard increasingly through the last 3 weeks a wave of concern and misgiving about the judgment of the Rankin Liberals, and a growing wave of response to some of the things like permanent rent control, same-day, next-day mental health care, before and after school care, a wave of response to the fact that these actually are things of immediate relevance to people's real lives.
Well, I hope to be speaking to the next Premier of Nova Scotia. Garry Burrill has shown incredible leadership. The values and passion and the fights that he's bringing forward are exactly what I'm hearing from people in Nova Scotia. The fact that we need rent control. Housing has always been a crisis, but it's becoming even worse, and we're seeing the results of that. People can't find a place to call home. We see Garry Burrill and his team speaking directly to the needs of healthcare. Today's announcement around pharmacare speaks directly to a passion for me, but it should be that healthcare is a priority. And we've seen Liberals continue to cut healthcare, not invest in it. And so I'm looking forward to a Garry Burrill Premier, an NDP government here, so we can fight for the people of Nova Scotia.
Okay, well, thanks everybody.
Thanks so much.